Hello and welcome back. I'm ShyWizard. Going to be looking at part 2 of the whiskey and barrel fabric mods, and this video will be about importing the actual mods into the map and getting them all working. In the previous video we did the streamline of the two mods, so only the textures that are required by the mods themselves will be imported into the map, and none of the other extra stuff that was part of the placeable that isn't required by those particular mods. This is the same map that I've got the AB water storage on, so I've deactivated the M Company stuff, the scripts there, so that hopefully we won't get any conflicts and things like that, and then we can potentially work maybe with converting these two fabric scripted mods over to M Company later on. Now I've structured these in the first video. I've put them together with certain a certain kind of structure so that I can work with that, and but that will obviously need to be changed and adapted to then work with the map itself. So I'm going to start with the barrel fabric mod first of all and get that set up in the map itself. So if I bring those up like so, what I'm going to do is I've got my add-ons folder here, which is where I put the water storage. So for this I'm going to just basically take the name of the folder here, make a copy of it, create a new folder, paste that into there, because this is where all my textures are going to go. So I'm going to select all of these and then copy them over into that folder. And then I'm going to bring in the sounds, so make a copy of that, put that in the sounds folder. Looks like it's already there, that's fine. Objects, we can bring in our palette, so this is a barrel palette, so we can take our name from there, create a new folder, paste that in. And we'll put the contents of that into there like so. I just wanted to check how I set the other one up. Wasn't quite sure, but that's pretty straightforward there. So I want to keep the structure of all the bits and pieces the same best I can. So copy over the particle system folder, put that in here, that's fine, the root folder. Shared. We have a dirt normal in there, so we don't need to copy that over, that's fine. Shaders, we can have a look and see if there are any additional shaders it might require. Nope, that's fine. Let's see, fruit HUDs, yeah, we can bring them over for the whiskey, for the barrel fabric. So we have our two HUDs in there, so we'll bring them over. We'll just put them in the root folder as well, that's fine. Palette, we've done that, so I'm going to bring over the actual i3D and i3D shapes for the barrel fabric itself. I'm going to put them in the maps folder where my map 01 i3D is. That's fine. And then I'm going to need to change the path file name to point to the barrel fabric for the actual textures and whatever else. But I think it's important to set up some sort of folder structure, a good folder structure to start with before you do your import, which is why I went through this process in part 1 of the video. So it gives me something good and solid to work with, that I can then just change a few path file names to join it all back together again. So pretty sure I've got everything from there. We can then open up the i3D for this one, and my shaders, I'm going to go back one folder to get to those, so I just need to put a ... in the front of all of those. Sounds, that's fine, they're in the right folder I believe, yeah, so don't need to change any of that because they're in the maps folder, so they're just there, so that's fine, should link that okay. And then all of these ones are going to need to be changed, so I need to change this to add-ons, barrel fabric. So if I copy that, Control F, paste. So I'm going to, that's the wrong way around. So let's take that from there, put that into there, and then put the textures into there. So I want to replace textures with add-ons barrel fabric, replace all. So add-ons barrel fabric, sounds, that should be fine. We'll save, and if we just open that up in Giants Editor, hopefully we'll have no errors. Good, excellent. Objects, they should be okay. We'll just double check that as well, because that's self-contained in one folder. It should be okay, so that's fine. Yep, that's fine. Okay, so that's basically coming back one folder and then going in my shaders folder to find the particle system shader and link it all together. That's fine. Okay, so then I guess scripts. Let's bring in our scripts from the original mod. So we want our fabric script and additional triggers. So we'll bring them over. I think what I'll do then is let's get this actually brought into the map first of all. So we'll open up the map01. So same as always, file, import. I like to go back to my desktop, wherever you've got the folder, just to make sure you're in the right folder when you do the import. Barrel fabric, highlight it, Control X, add-ons, Control V. Then I'm going to find an area that I want to put this. I'm not going to be too fussed with the placement, just to get it in the map and whatever else. That comes a bit later on. Control B, click. That's fine. And then we can go ahead and save. And then what we'll do is get the whiskey one imported as well, I think, and we can work then with both of them and get all the modDesc and all the bits and pieces set up on that side of things. So I'm going to close down the map then. I've saved that. I don't need these anymore because that's now part of the actual map01.i3d, so we can delete those. And then, so that's the barrel one done. So let's do the whiskey one next. So if I open up the folder here for the whiskey fabric, so if we go add-ons, let's take the name from there, that's fine. Copy that, new folder, put it in, and we'll go into our textures, select all, copy them over into there, and then we can do our palette again. So we go objects, new folder, and I'm just going to call this rum whiskey palette. Copy all of those into there. Shaders, we more likely will have those anyway. Particle systems for the smoke are going to be exactly the same for both mods, so we don't need to worry about that. The sound file is exactly the same, so we don't need to worry about that. We'll bring over the fruit HUDs, so make a copy of that, paste, merge the folders. We now have our HUDs for the barrel and the whiskey and rum, that's fine. And then lastly we bring over the actual i3D and i3D shapes. So we'll copy those, close that down, and then I need to change the path file name to that. So we've got Whiskey Fabric, add-ons Whiskey Fabric. So we'll open this one up in Notepad++, shaders, // sounds is fine. And I can just change this to Whiskey Fabric. Add-ons, Whiskey Fabric, replace all. Save. Close that down. If we open this up in Giant Editor before we import it, just to make sure I have no errors. No errors, brilliant. So close that down. Reopen up the map01. File, import, Whiskey Fabric, highlight it, Control X, add-ons, Control V, highlight it again, Control B, and click. We now have both of our mods in the map. Fantastic. I did notice when I was messing about with this there are a few extra numbers, the actual display for the numbers. I would imagine there was some sort of screen or whatever else you want to call it similar to this setup originally on the mod, and that was then removed, but the displays were not, and there's one just hanging out here in the middle of nowhere. So I'm going to go through and delete those while I'm here. So let's have a look. Displays. So we can highlight all the top ones there. That should be all of those. Delete. Get rid of all of those. Don't need them. So that should be fine. That's okay. Excellent. So we've now got both of those mods in the map, and we've set up or deleted some parts there that weren't required, and all the rest of it. Yeah, you can have a quick look around, just make sure your textures and whatever else are set up okay, and make any appropriate changes that might need to be done. Because one of the changes I will need to make, because I'm going to adapt this slightly and change it from sugar beet to sugar cane, I will need to change this decal on here, so we'll do that later on. That's fine. Broom is still good, shovel head is still good, so all those textures are all linking in fine. That's excellent. Okay, so we'll just save the map one more time here, just to make sure that it's updated everything. And then what we'll do is link all of our path file names into the appropriate places for all of our textures and everything, for the or the i3Ds for all of our palettes and particle systems and all those bits and pieces. So inputs is just an input palette trigger, so we don't need to worry about that. Output is a palette spawner, so we need to make a change there. So I've already obviously put in the in this one put in the small change I made for the oh come on, there we go, original setup that I did, where I sort of streamlined the mod and everything, made a few changes there, but now obviously it's in a different place, so it would be maps, objects, and then barrel palette. So we need to change this slightly. So if I put a capital P in there, and that's barrel palette, so it'll be maps objects. Oh good lord, I can't spell again. I'm having a right moment with this. So maps objects barrel palette, and then barrel palette i3D, so that's good. Okay, that was the only one in there because it's only got the one palette spawn, that's fine. And then we need to change our, have a look at this, so PS and then smoke, PS smoke, that should be fine for both of those. Yeah, okay, so we don't need to worry about that one anymore. So all of those parts should be okay. We can check that with error logs and whatever else. Outputs on these ones, so let's have a look, palette spawner. So for this one, maps objects, so I'm going to make a copy of that just so I don't have to type it in, maps objects. So if I delete that, maps objects maps objects run whiskey palette i3D, that should be okay. That was the whiskey one, wasn't it? Yep. Okay, then we can do the one for the rum as well. So what I will do then is, let's take all of that, copy, come down to here, paste, so map objects run whiskey palette and run palette, there we go. Okay, so we've got those path file names set up correctly. Hopefully we can test that, like I say. And again, our particle systems, these should be PS, that's fine, they should be okay. So that's good, we can get rid of that clear areas. Right, okay, so whiskey fabric, barrel fabric, right, let's do a save on that then. And we can then go to the mod desk and set the mod desk up and everything else. Close the map down, we don't need that open anymore for the time being, so go into here, mod desk, and we'll do the barrel one. So I need to go into the original one to get the information from the mod desk here. So certain parts we've already got, because I've already got a setup in here. I'm going to okay, let's come down here a little bit. I think because I've already got an M company one here, it might cause some issues, but hopefully not. Near vol error. Let's take those. Paste. Additional triggers. Take those. Copy. Paste. Don't need the board wood because I've already got in mine. I think. Actually, I will take it. Let's take both of those. And paste those in. scripts. I've deactivated the mcompany and mcompany add-on one, so I need to take those for the fabric script and additional triggers. So we'll add those in at the bottom, and I'll just take that and put that into there, so they're going to point to the right folder. And like I said, I'm going to use the reg field type script, not the new field type script, so all of that can be ignored because I'm not going to work with any of that stuff. So we'll save. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so I've just got the reg field type script here on my desktop. You can find this on many different maps, Hofburgman for one of them. So I'm just going to copy that into there. This has examples in it, or an example. So I'm going to use that to create what I want here. So we'll take the information from there, make a couple of spaces, paste that in. My HUDs, too many folders open. My HUDs are just in Fruit HUDs, so I'm going to take a copy of that, and then we can overwrite all of this stuff like so. Don't worry about I'm not going to worry about the fill planes because this is not going to be a product that we tip on the ground or anything else, so we don't need to worry about any of that. We'll change the calc over to barrel. I'm not going to use bulk, change the calc to barrel, and I'm not going to use bulk, that's very difficult to say, as a category name, because I want to use piece because it's a pallet. I don't want to use bulk because otherwise if I register the barrel under bulk, it will show up in tipper trailers and things like that, whereas piece will not as a category name. So I'm going to do that. That's fine. I don't want to create a heap, so we'll get rid of that, make a copy of that, and use to spray, no, so false. Add to a food group, false. Okay, that should be fine. So we go ahead and save. And then if I do the whiskey one, so we'll open this one up. These are bits at the top here I won't need to worry about. Barrel we've already got, so I need whiskey and rum. The others I won't need, the water, the sugar beet and the maize, because they are vanilla products, in-game vanilla game products, so I won't need those. So I'm going to make a copy of the whiskey and the rum, and we will come over and paste those in. Make a copy of the field type in the reg field type setup here, and we'll paste that in. And again, because I need one for the rum as well. So then I'll take that name, copy, oops, paste, copy, paste. Obviously you need to make sure these names, these field types, match what you've got for your field types in the actual mod itself. Otherwise it won't know what it is and it will cause an error. So all of those are set up. We've got no create heaps, don't need one for any of these, that's fine. Scripts are all set up, and we've got our information to actually run all the fabric script stuff and whatever else. These other parts are obviously to do with mcompany stuff, but we're not going to be using that because I've blanked it out for now just in case it causes a conflict with the fabric script stuff. Shouldn't do, but you never know. So we've got all of that. Okay, so that one can be closed. We'll save that. That's fine, we've got all that set up. Okay, so that should be good. Okay, now one thing I want to actually say here, with the new field type script, the HUDs are absolutely fine as they are, but with the reg field type script, if we actually go back into here and open that up, you can see that the examples for the HUDs, it's for the small HUDs, it's SML, not actually the word small. So before we go into it any deeper, I'm going to go into the HUDs folder here and change the small over to SML, because otherwise we will have some problems with textures and things like that for the HUDs. They will not display. Well, they may display, but it will cause an error because it's not looking for the right spelling of the actual text DDS. So let's change it now while we're thinking about it, or I'm thinking about it, whatever. SML, that's fine, we've got all that set up. So, got the PS there, fruit HUDs, map, add-ons, oops, all that set up, objects. Let's just open it up again before I delete that, just to make sure that it's all okay. Yeah, looking good. I think that's okay, so let's close that down then. I don't need those anymore, so let's delete those. That's fine. So what I'll do is I'm going to put it in the mods folder here, and I'll get into game, and if I get some errors come up, we'll have a look at the errors and just work with those to start with. Actually, what I will do while I'm here, I want to make a change, and I might as well do it now while we're actually on the desktop here. So let's do it now, and not a lot of point in doing it later on, just might as well do it now. So okay, as I mentioned before, I want to change the sugar beet over here to sugarcane, but you'll notice also that with the way this particular mod is set up, the barrel one is fine, but this one, we have a lot of triggers placed up on top of each other. So if I actually go into here, into the inputs, barrels is fine, and then we have our maize trigger there and our sugar beet trigger right on top of the other one. The water one is fine, that's way back there, but these two, because they're right on top of each other, they could potentially cause a bit of a problem. So to save me a bit of messing about, I'm going to move those. So what I want to do is actually make a duplicate tipping point here. So I'm going to bring this one right back here. Control D to make a duplicate, and we'll just drag that one out to somewhere like that. And then I'm going to go into the actual triggers themselves here and just move the trigger to the appropriate place for that setup. And just make sure my trigger start and end point is okay. That's fine. So that's okay, that should be all set up nicely for that one. So that's our maize, I think. Yep, that's fine. So do our sugar beet one, tip trigger, and we'll just make this go back a little bit. Somewhere like that, and then start and end. So going to need to move those slightly, just so they don't interfere with the other trigger. That should be fine. And then also what I will do is move the water one just back a little bit, so it's not interfering with that one. Okay, so that's fine. Then also what I'm going to do is change this over. So I'm going to change this to sugarcane and take that and put into there like so. So that one now, why is that all the way up there like that? Thought I moved it. That's fine, that'll be alright. I think it's just looking at a different angle, and it's not quite where it lines up and everything, because I'm looking at it at a different angle in the editor here. It looks like it's no longer aligned, but that's fine, we can work with that. Okay, so let's close that down, get all of that. So barrel, fast, maize, sugarcane and water. One thing we will need to do, or one thing I will need to do, is change this from sugar beet to sugarcane. So I'm going to need to create that texture and then do all that. I'll do that myself. I'm not going to get into all of that stuff in this. Doesn't really matter. To be fair, I probably would delete these sort of decals or whatever else. Don't really need them there, and what have you. But yeah, we'll just work with that. That's fine. So yeah, we'll save again just to be sure. And then I think what I'll do is I'll put it into the mods folder and I'll run the game, just see what errors come up, if any. And if no errors come up, then I'll hit record and we'll continue and test them out, make sure they work. But if there's loads of errors, then I won't show you in game. I'll just come back out to the desktop and hit record, and we'll then work out what the errors are and go forward from there. Right, so like a numpty, I had all the other parts in and set up the reg field types, but I didn't actually put in the reg field types extra source file line, so it gave me errors straight away saying that it was invalid field types. So many simple mistakes you can make when you're doing stuff like this, and it's harder when you're actually doing a recording, because I would zip through this quite quickly if I was just doing it, you know, off camera, so to speak. But trying to remember to do things while, you know, I'm recording and whatever else, sometimes I do miss the pretty much obvious and then shoot yourself in the foot later. But so yeah, make sure you actually put the line in your extra source files here to register the script, otherwise it won't then know what the hell you're trying to do here. So it gave me errors because obviously these items are in the map as field types, but the reg field type script wasn't running, so it just couldn't join all the parts together. So I don't want to leave anything out of the video. If I make a mistake, then I'm going to show you that. So yeah, we've got that now in there, so I can go ahead and save that. And I'll put it back in the mods folder and try it out again. Okay, so moment of truth. I don't even know if this is working yet. I'm literally just coming to the map, hit record, and away we go. So if we come over to here, we've got a 0 on our monitor there, our digital display LCD screen, whatever you want to call it, so that's a good sign. So bring up the F1 menu and we have our information, boards, pallets, and products FAS, which is our barrels. I might change that in the modDesc so it actually gives me a different name than FAS, because I won't know what that is. Well, I do know what it is, but I would prefer it to say barrel or whatever else, not FAS. But that's fine, you know, it's working to that degree. So obviously our input trigger here for the pallets and whatever else, so or the boards, which have got a field type of wood chips, but that's okay. This has a much larger trigger on it, so it encompasses the entire mod. So as soon as you walk anywhere around here, it's going to bring up, theoretically, it's going to bring up the actual menu and whatever else. And you can see that we have our maize, sugarcane, FAS, WASR for water. Again, you know, all of these things will be controlled by the modDesc, so I might want to add those parts in and then change the actual translation so it shows up in whatever language you want it to. So it gives me slightly different text in the F1 menu there, but that's fine. Again, I can work with all that. Whiskey and rum is our output, so it's saying there we've got maize, which is empty, which, you know, at the moment everything is empty because I've put nothing in there at all. Righto, so I've got a few bits and pieces together here. I've got a water Bowser, so I think we'll just, while I'm in it, might as well just do that one first. So we'll just come into here. Now I'm not sure if this trigger, I think it's just a liquid trigger if I recall. So get into here, press R, obviously the F1 menu will show you that, liquid trigger, stop, start and all the rest of it. So we'll put that into there. This one does actually have a LCD display on it, so you can see that the water is going in there. That's fine, that's all doing what it's meant to do. Excellent. So we can move this out of the way. My factory over here I think may have stopped because it's full up. So we should have some barrels. Yep, so we've got some barrels there all created and whatever else. That's fantastic. So that's all good, that's done and working. So I'd like to see that. We'll get into the tractor here and put in the maze. I think that was the first trigger that was maze. So we'll just come in here and hopefully and we're loading. Excellent. I think there might be some collision errors or something there on these grates. Might have to play around with that, but that's fine. Not really fussed about that for this video, so you can possibly do something with that for your own personal whatever you want to get out of it and all the rest of it. So if we come around to here, I'm just going to fill up the trailer with or put some sugar cane in the trailer here, because as I said before, it won't accept the pallets because I haven't set it up with a pallet trigger. Could do that, put a pallet trigger in there so you could just take the pallets directly in there, but like I said, potentially would be planting sugar cane to then support this factory. Once you've planted it, you don't need to plant it again, so it's just about harvesting and whatever else, and obviously fertilising and everything. So we're not getting a tip trigger though, so let's come in from this way. I do find sometimes with these tip triggers, if you enter one and then cross it over into the next one, it gets a bit weird, so you might have to come in from a different direction to hit the other trigger. There we go, that's working. Triggers are a bit weird in FS17, the way they can conflict with each other, but the fact that I've separated them somewhat I think will help a little bit. But again, you can play around with that and see what you can come up with, but I think this is possibly a better way of doing it, to split them up so they're not all on top of each other like they were originally. But we now should have, if I bring up the F1 menu, we've got maize, sugarcane and water. So I grab my telehandler, I'll go and grab the barrels that have been created, and then hopefully should be able to get this thing fired up and all working and creating our rum and whiskey. I will just show you, if we go into the prices page here, we have all of our HUDs, so our barrel, whiskey and rum there. Obviously I've got no sell points at the moment set up, but that's relatively straightforward to do in the map itself, or you could have a place for sell point where you could put that down, whatever you choose to do there. I may look into doing that and actually showing you how to create that. I think these pallets spawn in at the wrong angle. It's still possible to get them, but they're not quite the right way round, in my opinion, so you have to come in from this kind of angle to pick them up. That's okay, we can work with that. So come into here, try and line these up. There we go. And we have our HUD in our bottom right hand corner there on the screen. That's fine. So we'll take this one over. I think this goes around the other side. Oh no, it goes here, I think. Does it go here? No, maybe the other side. Can't remember. I think it's the other side. Round here, is it? Yeah, here. So bring this round to here. Put those into there. Fantastic. So if we jump out of that, come back into here, F1 menu. We've now got all of our products in there. Obviously they're not full up or anything, but that's fine. It will be enough to get the actual unit running and everything. All of the LCD screens there, or whatever you want to call it, number screens, all work and what have you, so that's good. And when it kicks in, we should get some particle effects. I've looked through the errors here, see if there are any errors. Doesn't appear to be any at the moment, so that's good. I'll just speed up time a little bit. Is it going to do anything? Let's just check. Okay, so we've got objects, physical object. Okay, so I have forgotten to rename the path file names, or I've set these up wrong. The path file names for the actual units there are set up incorrectly, so probably a spelling error or something like that. So back in the editor again, we'll just check these path file names because somehow I've not put them in correctly. I thought I had done these already, but let's just double check what we've got here. So yes, a spelling error. I've missed the letter C out of objects, so let's take a copy of that It's so easy to do, unfortunately, with to get spelling, and I'm so bad with not paying attention to it. So run whiskey palette. I try to copy and paste as much as I can, because when it comes to path file names and things like that, even uppercase and lowercase can catch me out on a regular basis. So we'll just change those. That should now be okay. So maps, objects, yeah, that should be fine. So like I say, really simple, just a spelling error in the path file name for the palette spawners. So we'll go back into game again then and test that out. Actually, no, I won't. What I'm going to do then is, while I'm here, let's just have a look and see what cell points we've got, because I want to see, out of curiosity, if we can actually set these up. What's this one? To do with Town Bakery. Yeah, I might set it up under that one actually. So let's change that. So it's map01.xml. So it will point to my Town Bakery. And then we'll go into map01 and we'll find the Town Bakery, which is just here. And we'll add in the field types so that we can potentially sell all of our products. For now, I'm just going to do it at the Town Bakery. That's fine. So we'll just take a copy of that one. That's fine. 1, 2, 3, and we'll just paste those in like so. And if I go into the modDesc, we can then take our field types. So we'll just go barrel, put that into there, whiskey, and rum. So theoretically now then, I will be able to sell all of those products at the Town Bakery by changing the XML path file name to point to my maps folder for the map01, because the $data, whatever it was, will point to Giants map01.xml, and I need it to point to my own version in this map. So that's fine. And then I just added in the field types here under the Town Bakery index, which is here. So you take your index from there, which matches in here. Yep, and then you can add in your field types in there and all the rest of it for whatever you want to sell at that particular point. So we'll save that. Don't need to save that. We can close it down. Okay, so now that I've got all of that set up, I can go ahead and just save the map, make sure that everything's updated and whatever else. And then we'll get back into game again and test all those parts out. So I'll test out the factories to make sure they are actually spawning the appropriate parts, and then I'll load up a trailer with the barrel and the whiskey and rum, and we'll come over to here and just check that we can actually sell them at this sell point. And there we go. So just again, like I say, simple spelling mistake and it messes everything right up. So if we come into the trigger here, we've got our maize, sugarcane, fass, which is our barrels, water, whiskey and rum. Close that down, get out of the way. We have our, I guess that's whiskey barrel there, and our rum over here, moonshine. Looks great, all the rest of it, so that's fine. So we've got, is this one doing anything? Is this one full up again? Can't remember. I think that one might be full up again. So if I jump back into the Manitou, wherever I put that, there it is. So let's go and grab those. Let's speed up time just to, whoops, one button, a little bit. There we go. So grab some more barrels from here and put into the factory. Came around the wrong side again. I most probably would actually change the direction of that barrel, the way it spawns in, because it's not, in my opinion, the right direction on the spawn. But it's not that you can't get to it, it's just I would logically want to come in from the different direction than this one. And it catches me out. Okay, so we've got those. So we'll go and put those into the other side of the factory over there. Like so, excellent. And then what I would do is let's grab a trailer. I haven't got a auto-loading trailer in here, but I really don't like this one, but that'll have to do. And I think I'll use the JCB, that's fine. So we'll go and grab that trailer while everything else is being created and what have you. And then I'll attempt to load up, because I'm absolutely useless with these things, which is why I tend to use an auto-loaded trailer, but I haven't got one installed in the mod folder at the moment. So we'll grab this and we'll get some pallets loaded up on here, and then hopefully go and be able to sell them. So if I go into the prices menu again, we'll have a look. We have got it set up in here, so at the Denton Bakery we can see our prices all set up in here, so that's fine, that's good. So that side of things is working okay, which is nice to see. It's promising at least. Yeah, very weird. I think some collisions on those pallets are a little bit freaky, but hopefully they'll stay on there long enough for me to get them where I want to get them. Okay, so we'll go over to the sell point then and test it out, I guess. So now, because this is not auto-load trailer, theoretically as soon as I get into the trigger they should automatically start to sell if they're going to be accepted by the trigger, and they are. Fantastic. As you can see, my money is going up there in the top right hand corner, and things are disappearing off the pallet, so at least one part of it is being sold, and that's now being sold. Get rid of those. So there we go. So relatively straightforward to set up the sell point for all of these products. We have our factories all up and running now using the fabric script and whatever else, and we've made 16,578 from just those 3 pallets. So obviously, all of the prices and whatever can be adapted and changed to suit whatever playstyle. Now I've just started this map on easy mode. If I was running it on hard mode, there's going to be a difference in what I would get price wise and whatever else. So you need to find your happy medium for all your different difficulty settings, because it's okay to set it really low in easy mode, then you get into hard mode and you only get a small, like 20 quid or whatever for or $20 or whatever your currency may be for a whole stack of barrel pallets, and then it becomes not cost effective or not even worth having the mod running in the map. So you have to be a bit sort of logical with your pricing and whatever else. I really hate those trailers. But anyway, it is all running in the map and what have you. So whiskey, rum factory, barrel factory, fabric script, whatever. Part 2. So I'm ShyWizard. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.